In this video we're going to be looking at meta tags. So to start with, what are meta tags? Well, they're a way for you to provide search engines with information about your website, and they are added to the head section of your page. So if I go and view the source here for my home page, you'll see in the head section RapidWeaver adds a few default meta tags for us, such as the content type, a robots meta tag, and a generator. These are all good default meta tags to have on your page, and RapidWeaver will add these to your entire site for you. So in this video we're going to look at how we can add site-wide meta tags and page-specific meta tags. But before we do that, I think it's good just to talk about which meta tags are important, which ones we should be adding, and which ones we don't need to worry about. So to start with, meta tags just aren't that important anymore. Previously you'd have website owners spending hours tweaking the keywords meta tag or the description meta tag to get a better ranking in search engines. But these days search engines have actually evolved past that, and they're relying on good quality content and the end user experience. So my advice would be that you don't need to fret about the content of the meta tags that you have, or spend hours worrying if you've included the right keywords or you've got the right meta tags on every page. They just aren't that important anymore. Google and the other big search engines just don't use the meta tags. They're looking at the quality of the content on the page and how good that website is, or how easy that website is for the end user. So although, having said that, I would suggest that you don't completely ignore meta tags, because they can be a sign of having a good quality website, especially if you're having perhaps a unique description meta tag on every page that describes the content that is actually there in a nice way. That could be important, and it is a sign of a good quality website, because when your page is displayed in search engine results, the description meta tag is often used to describe the content on that page. So you'll want something that looks professional and perhaps gets the user's attention and makes them want to go and actually visit your page when they see it in search engine results. And before we actually have a look at adding meta tags to our site, you've probably heard of the keywords meta tag, and you're probably thinking that you need that on your site, but you don't. Google and the other big search engines have publicly stated that the keywords meta tag is no longer used, so you don't even need to worry about adding that to your site. You're not going to see any gain from it. If anything, if you add the keywords meta tag and it looks a little bit spammy to the search engines, you're probably going to be penalized. So my advice would be, don't even bother adding the keywords meta tag to your site. Okay, so before we actually get started with adding meta tags to your site, let's hop over to Safari and have a look at where some of the meta tags might be used. Okay, so here in Safari I have done a Google search for coffee brewing methods, and if you scroll down, previously we talked about having the title tag set up and using keywords and stuff, and as I mentioned, the title tag is used here as the main link text, and then underneath the text here is often the description meta tag if one is present. Now previously people thought that putting keywords inside of the description meta tag would help their search engine rankings. That's not so anymore. It's not going to penalize you, as I say, but it's not going to actually improve your search engine ranking. They are looking at the quality of the content on your page and what is actually on your site rather than what's in your meta tags. So although, as I said, having a description meta tag is important because that text will be displayed here, and it looks a little bit more professional when you've actually customized that for each page on your site. You're not going to see any ranking benefit from that, but I do think it looks a lot more professional when, for example, this coffee brewing methods has a very nice, concise description of what you're going to see on that page. And just to show you that the description meta tag is used inside of Google, if we open up this coffee brewing methods site and I've inspected the code behind this page, you can see that the description meta tag is here, and the text that you see here is displayed in the search results here. So it looks a lot more professional when you customize the description meta tag, because otherwise you'll be relying on Google to try and work out what should be displayed in this area. So the description meta tag is probably the most important one, and we'll look at how we can add that to your pages now. So let's hop back to RapidWeaver, and if we go to edit mode, There are two ways to add meta tags to your pages. The first way is by using the global code settings here, and you'll see a meta tags tab. When you add a meta tag here, it will be added to every page on your website. There aren't many cases when you'll want to do this, but there are the odd occasion. For example, perhaps we want to add an author meta tag to every page on our site. So we click the plus button and we can enter author and enter our business name. Now you'll see that all of our pages have been marked as changed, and if I go to one of those and preview and then view the source behind this page, you'll see here that the author meta tag has been added. And if we go and preview one of the other pages, you'll see author is on there too. So this tag has been added to every page on our website. So next, let's have a look at adding the description meta tag to each page individually. To do this, go back to the edit mode, and I'll start with the home page. And if you open up the page inspector and go to the meta tags tab, you'll see a description input box. All you need to do here is write a description for the page content, and RapidWeaver will add the description meta tag to your page for you. So I'm just going to type out a description for our home page. Okay, and as you notice as I'm typing, there's a little character counter here, and that serves to tell us how many characters we have left for the description meta tag. Now, as with the page title, you can go over the recommended limit. However, that content is not going to be displayed inside of the search engine results. So keeping your description content below this number will make your site look a little bit more professional in search engine results. And I'd like to think that you're probably going to entice more users to click on your page if they get the full description of the content on the page. And as I said before, don't worry too much about trying to include keywords in here, or keyword stuffing, or making sure that certain keywords are in the description. It's just not that important anymore. It's more important to focus on your content on your page, which we're going to do later on in this series. Okay, so before we move on and do this for our other pages, let's go and preview and see what the meta tag actually looks like in the source code. So here you can see we have our author tag that we added in the general code settings here, and then we have our description meta tag that we've added in the box here. And it's as simple as that to add the description meta tag to your page. So let's go and do this for a couple of other pages on our site. Go to the coffee page and edit, and I'll just type out a quick description for the content on this page as well. Okay, so here I have entered, we source our coffee beans from around the world, attempting to find the finest blends so we can serve you the best cup of coffee you've ever had. And as you can see, the counter here is getting up to orange, so we're close to the limit. If I were to add a few more characters, you can see that we're now in the red and we've gone over the 150 character limit there. So our suggestion inside of RapidWeaver is something under 150 characters. This will give you the best results in search engine pages, and as I say, make your website just look more professional. Okay, and if we go and preview that page and view the source, you'll see again that the description has been added here. So I won't go through and bore you by adding this to every page on the website. I'll allow you to go through and add a unique description on your site. But let's publish this up to the live server and check that everything works as expected. Okay, so publishing is finished. Let's visit our site. And if we look at the source code here, so I'm going to inspect this element. And before I do so, actually, if you don't have this inspect element available inside of Safari, what you need to do is go to the preferences and then go to the advanced tab and show develop menu in menu bar. You'll then be given this develop menu, and you will be able to inspect the code behind the pages more easily. So what you can do is right click and inspect element. This will bring up the web developer tools inside of Safari, and you'll be able to inspect the code and the CSS and stuff like that behind the actual page. So if we go into the head of our document, you'll see that we have the meta tags that are added by RapidWeaver by default, and our meta tags that we've added aren't actually on the page. So what I think we need to do is, this is cached, so let's refresh and have another look. And yeah, there we go. Now we've got the author meta tag and the description meta tag. So Safari had cached our page there. So it's as simple as that to add a global meta tag to all of your pages, as we did with the author, and you can add the description meta tag easily in the page inspector as well. So as I said at the start, don't worry too much about these meta tags. It's not worth spending too much time. As I say, just focus on doing the description and making it nice and readable and under 150 characters. Before we finish up, there are some other meta tags that are important these days, such as perhaps the schema.org and also the open graph meta tags, and there's some Twitter card meta tags. All of that stuff we're going to be looking at later on in this series, so don't worry, we are going to come back to the meta tags. There are a few more important ones, but this is just a grounding in how you can add meta tags in RapidWeaver and which ones are important and which ones aren't.